Oh, baby.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Chat It Up Sports. Joseph, it's a good day, buddy. It is college football post bracket reveal. Alabama has been left out. SMU is in. The Vols are going to Ohio State. And your Georgia Bulldogs are SEC champs.
Never would have thought when we lost to Ole Miss, I was like, well, at least we can hope for an at-large bid. And, we backdoored our way into the SEC title game and we pulled a Clemson and we ended up winning the damn thing.
You won the whole damn thing, dude. It's wild, too, because I was looking back and I was like, man, there were points in time where you felt so sure. You're like, Texas, no doubt. Texas felt good the whole year. And then Georgia blows them out. You're like, oh, okay, maybe not. But then they still just kind of kept winning. You saw the schedule. You're like, besides A&M, what's going to happen? And then Georgia, like you said, the Ole Miss one, I was like, man, Ole Miss is probably the team to beat now. Not so much. Talent-wise, I'll get to that here in a minute. I still think they are one of those teams. Like if I was going to go back, like if I was just going to do pure talent perspective, still in the big Ole Miss train. But overall, like this SEC has been like a better version of what I thought the Big 12 was going to be, if that makes sense.
It's a more NFL laden roster version of what the Big 12 is, because it's not quite as anybody can be anybody as the Big 12, and I don't think that's a big stretch to say, but the conference is very deep in terms of like, hey, most of these rosters could compete for a title in another conference.
Yeah.
And you go like probably 7 teams deep saying that. Like the SEC, while they don't have a 2019 LSU or a 2020 Bama or a 2022 Georgia, they don't have that this year. They have a lot of teams that are still really damn good and are much closer to each other in the margins.
Yeah, much closer. And then like we talked about before on earlier on, I know we're going to get to Beck and old Gunner, but because the quarterback play wasn't as top end spectacular, it really felt like there was a gap for kind of any of those top 5 to win, especially on the right week. Like Milroe had his game, had his moment in the early part of the Georgia game. He's had some big moments. And then he has the stinkers. Then he has the Oklahoma game. Then he has even the Tennessee game. Like those are the moments where you're like, can't get those back. Can't get those back. And Beck, we thought, man, going into the season with a down quarterback class, you're like, he'll be the first overall pick probably, because it's just the way the quarterback world works. Like if he does pretty good and he leads the SEC in passing again, or him and Dart might go back and forth, but you still felt like Beck was going to overtake that. He was going to look good. He's going to look sharp. And to me, I thought he might have like a Drake May after Downs and them left. That's kind of what I thought he was going to be like. Still to put up great stats, do a lot of cool heroic stuff, but you're going to miss your big time studs.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. Didn't happen, buddy. So I do want to ask you about that. Like, what are your feelings on Stockton going forward? And what do you think Beck's injury is like?
So if it's on, okay, let's address the Beck situation first. I personally think Carson's done for the year. I think when he took that last snap to hand off to ETN, that was his last snap as a Georgia Bulldog.
Okay.
I think there's a couple of things that go into that. I think the injury is worse than they're letting on. It's kind of a Fort Knox trying to get information out of Kirby. But I feel like he's, they're going to wait until the last possible moment until they absolutely have to say something about him being out permanently. Because right now they've announced he's out indefinitely. And I think the post from On3 and a couple of other places said that him and his family were exploring treatment options. And the Twitter doctors, and there's been some people that like study these injuries, and they actually try to be like a reputable source based on the video, which you can only draw so much from. So obviously take that with a grain of salt. But I saw some that said if it was a UCL sprain and it was like a grade 1, it was like 4 to 6 weeks. If it's a grade 2, it's like 6 to 8. And then if it was a tear, then it's like Um, 8 months to 11 months or something like that, I think, is the recovery timetable. So I don't know. That's all pure speculation. That there's no factual, there's no, like, I guess, guarantee to any of that. That's just what, is kind of floating around on the Twitter sphere. So I'm not a doctor. I'm pretty sure whoever tweeted that was probably not a doctor. So we'll just have to see. It's more or less about the fact that it's more safe to assume that I think Carson is done for the season.
Yeah.
Moving forward with Gunner, I had heard some things like, Gunner set the record for, he broke Deshaun. I think and I might have these backwards because I tend to flip flop these because I can't remember exactly which one's which. But I think he broke Deshaun Watson's touchdown record in Georgia and broke Trevor Lawrence's yardage record in Georgia.
Yeah.
I could have those flip flop, but either way, Gunner,
I think that's right from what I remember.
he broke both of those playing at Rabun County. So, but he wasn't a super high, even setting both those records, he wasn't a super high profile guy. He was only a 4-star, I think, ranked in like the 170s somewhere, depending on, what recruiting service you're looking at. But I'll be honest, I did not expect what I saw from him in the SEC championship game. Dude's got some grit to him. And, obviously watching the pick that he threw, personally, I put that a little bit more on Bobo than Gunner, because in that situation in the game, you're up by 3. It's like 3rd and 15. You're right outside of field goal range. Like you're maybe you're kind of in that no man's land where it's like, it's not a good place to punt, but the field goal's a little wrong. Like I was thinking, halfback draw here, ETN gets 5 yards, you go up by 6. I like that. That's what I thought. Was the easy call, even if it's predictable. ETN has been a running back that we've seen that he can at least make one guy miss,
and especially how he was running in that game. Like,
and yeah, dude,
that should have been a screen or a draw. Just do the typical prototypical thing. Like, just let that go.
Yeah. So when Gunner threw that interception, I was more like, Bobo, why are we? And Bobo knows way more about football than me, so. Obviously, the Georgia offensive staff, their league's better than me at football. So I'm just a guy on a couch in a basement. But I just thought, I was like, I feel like going up by 6 there isn't quite a dagger with the way that, at any point in time, Texas can just pop and move the ball. And especially the way that they had been able to move the ball all night, but they had struggled in the red zone. So you put it to a point where it's like, hey, they got to get a touchdown here. They've struggled in the red zone. The defense is playing lights out. Like, Gunner's come in and he's done what Jalen Hurts and Tua did to Texas.
Yeah,
I just felt like putting Gunner in a position where he was going to throw the ball was not the play. And who knows? Gunner could have checked out of that. He could have, called his own number. I don't know. But I felt like a halfback draw, take 5 yards and kick the field goal, go up by 6 was the play there. As far as moving forward, I feel pretty good because I think this offensive staff will be able to put together a pretty solid plan for Gunner. If they end up having to play like Oregon or Texas, which I feel like are probably the favorites, then I'm a little worried.
This is not going to be a team that can play from behind.
No, it's definitely.
I don't think Gunner has that.
Yeah, this is going to be a team that has to play. They have to stay on schedule. They have to play defense, and they need to play with a lead. But who knows, man? Like when Gunner came in and Carson was done for the second half, I was like, well, there probably goes that. And then he leads the team right down the field on a pretty stout Texas defense and goes in for 6. So I feel good that they have 3 weeks to prep him for, insert Notre Dame or Indiana.
Yeah. And I think that draw is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna rank these. We're gonna rank the draws, I think, here in a little bit. I kind of want to see what your thoughts were, like who kind of got the best draw out of this. And many people have heard about it. And if you're a big fan of college ball, you know that there's a lot of people that think they got screwed, and Oregon's in a tough spot. And we'll talk about that too. And I do want to talk about, since I didn't do it in the first 5 minutes, so I'm so sorry, Mike's. But Mike's Hole in the Wall, presenting sponsor of Chatted Up Sports. Thank you guys for all that you do, providing us the best wings in Chattanooga. Flavorful, the Wilford wings. If you haven't heard of those, it's a little off menu item. And the best patio in all of the Nougat too. Right now, we know it's a little chilly here. We know it's a little rainy, but Mike's got you covered, literally and figuratively. So hop on out to the patio Saturdays, Sundays, plenty of drink specials, plenty of brunch, wide variety of meals. Much, much appreciated to our fantastic friends at Mike's Hole in the Wall. Also like and subscribe the pod at Chat It Up Sports. There's all of our podcasty things we got to do. So back to it. The defense, like how they beat Texas is how they have to win every game. Like it's going to be ETN has to kind of be a star. I thought that his touchdown run off that little drag left, I was like, holy crap, that guy ran through 3 people. He looked fantastic. That's the best I've seen him look. And I've watched quite a bit of Georgia. And I know he's been out for a while. He was listed as like kind of game time decision.
He was kind of, I think, listed as questionable or probable, but I think Kirby said that Trevor came to him and was like, Coach, I want to play in this game. You know, like this is the reason I came here. I haven't got a chance to play in a game like this. Like come hell or high water, or I'm breaking an arm, I'm playing in this game. That's what he said after the game. Did you hear him? He was like, this is why I can come to Georgia. Yeah. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to him. Yeah. But with Trevor, it's one of those things like that defense is going to have to be, I mean, looking back, will they have 15 tackles for loss? I think 15 tackles for loss and 6 sacks. So that's crazy against. It was a hampered, like you are without your best offensive lineman. For sure. They got to him anyways in the first game. So still Joe Moore Award finalist offensive line. I mean, they were hailed as one of the best offensive lines into the country, and for the most part, outside of 2 games, they have held up to that. Texas has only given up 28 sacks this season. 13 of those are to Georgia. So that's wild stat. Yeah. 13 sacks. Yep. Almost half, right under half. Yeah. Let's see. Your sacks have been given up to one team. Which is Michael played awesome, didn't he? Oh, dude. Played awesome. Healthy Michael is, and that's something I can remember a few shows back or early on in the season, we were Max was coming on and we were kind of talking a little bit before the show, and I was like, man, Michael's been kind of disappointing a little bit. And then obviously at the time he wasn't playing fully healthy because this was post Clemson game. And in the Clemson game, he got hit low and kind of screwed him up a little bit. But ever since that first Texas game, where that was the first game where it really felt like he was healthy, I've been kind of like, well, I think I was wrong there, because healthy Michael Williams is a force. An absolute force, brother. Yeah, he's a force. What do you think about their path going forward? I mean, Indiana, Notre Dame. Notre Dame physical, Indiana can be. Again, I know it was Ohio State. I get it's the only time you've seen them play a really good team, but still feel like they can be dangerous. But this Notre Dame team also could just grind it out all the way to a ship too. There's just a weird thing about Notre Dame where I don't like them because of the NIU loss, but then I watch them and I'm like, 3 yards in a cloud of dust is pretty good football right now. Yeah. The thing I worry about for Notre Dame is I think the style of football they play and what they want to accomplish is a horrific matchup. Georgia is a horrific matchup for Notre Dame. Like if Notre Dame was able to play like, I don't want to say Oregon because I don't really feel like there's a great draw in here for. No, they're a team that's going to be a really nice 1-round win. Like, that's a great matchup for them. Like they can kind of beat them up. I mean, your leading receivers are your tight end and your running back for Notre Dame. Yeah, and I feel like they'll be able quarterback. Yeah, who's also like a Wish.com version of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So like the way he runs the ball at least, and the way that they want to run him. Um, yeah, I think Georgia's a horrific matchup for Notre Dame and what they want to accomplish. I actually, which I know we'll end up previewing the games, and there's still a game that has to happen before that. But I feel like Indiana has a better chance to pull off that win just because of their ability to throw the ball.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's great, but I think that aspect of their team and being able to do that a little bit more consistently than Notre Dame kind of gives them maybe like just a slightly better chance in my eyes versus Notre Dame trying to just grind out physical run the rock against that Georgia defense.
Yeah, they're only 7.5-point dogs going in. Indiana versus Notre Dame. That gives me an implication. Like that gives me a thought of they at least believe in him a little bit, especially this matchup, because we just talked about like there's a world where Notre Dame could come out there and just beat the hell out of them, like as far as physically, and just impose their will. They beat them 24-7, something like that.
Yeah, kind of like the same way Ohio State just kind of outmanned them a little bit.
But they won't be able to score like that. I don't think Notre Dame can score like that against somebody of Indiana's caliber. It's just, but then there's a world where Notre Dame can't score and Indiana's kind of Rourke and them kind of figure some stuff out and hit you with some big plays, and you're like, oh shit, dude, this might be a real game. And then that kind of gets away from you if you're Notre Dame, because you can't score. You can't play from behind. It's kind of similar thing we were talking about with Georgia. Right now, Georgia's in a spot where whatever you think about Beck, you still had a belief. You're like, dude, the image of Beck could still pop. You still could go out there and get a 350-yard game from him at any moment. But I don't know if you feel like you have that with Gunner right now. But you also could get some big plays. You're going to get some rushing plays. You're going to get some physical plays. They're just going to look a lot different now. But Notre Dame kind of looks like that all the time. So I'm worried that this matchup is going to be very deceiving. Like right now in my heart, I'm like, I think Notre Dame's going to whip up on them. But then I would not be surprised at the same time if Indiana like turns it around and starts being like, we deserve to be here. Like this seems like we deserve to be here. Like we beat a big name school, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It's going to be one of the fun matchups. Like I'm glad that's the Friday night game. That'll be good.
I think it's great as a standalone game.
Yeah, that's the best one. Good names, the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
To hop on here, Tennessee, Ohio State. Are you glad they kept it the 8-9 matchup?
Am I glad?
Or like, I guess from like, ask glad from a perspective of, do you think the committee got it right? Kind of, if it's making sense.
Yeah, I do, because I don't think you can rank. I think you could have possibly ranked Ohio State over Notre Dame. Hang on, dog's going crazy.
You're good. You could have ranked Ohio State. I mean, that's one of those things for me is when I look back, and it's just don't lose to Arkansas. Don't lose to Arkansas, and you are a much higher rated team, and you're in the SEC championship, and you're probably not moving down. For Ohio State, it's branding wise, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah,
really, for a first round matchup, this is it's almost as good as it gets. I mean, I'm sure if you would have thrown the Notre Dame in there, I don't think, but right now, I don't know if anybody's kind of hotter brand wise in Tennessee.
Yeah, this is your marquee matchup of the first round. There was a time where Clemson, Texas would have been that game, but I feel like the way that Clemson has kind of, I don't want to say tapered off, but they've definitely cooled off in terms of what they used to be.
Yep.
I still think
that's
Dabo fatigue. Be a pretty good game.
I think there's a lot of Dabo fatigue.
Yeah, I can see that. I could see that for sure. I think for the most part, having to live in the parameters that the committee is forced to live in with the auto bids and having to rank certain teams, certain places, and they have to stick Arizona State and Boise State there. I think for the most part, they got it right, if you want to say right. Because, I mean, who could you really shuffle around? Like I don't know, Penn State, I wouldn't penalize them much because they lost to Oregon because they played an extra game.
You can't.
SMU, yeah.
Which that's the one thing, real quick, I'm happy the committee didn't back down from that thought process of them including SMU over Bama is like the biggest thing for me. It was like they didn't back off their stance of we're not going to punish you or your teams for making the conference championship. Like,
yeah,
I really felt like going into Sunday, I was like, Bama's getting in.
Well, it's one of those things where in past years you felt like they've always been given the benefit of the doubt because they were Saban. Because of Saban. Because whether you wanted to admit it or not, Alabama, year in and year out with Saban was probably, I mean, I know they didn't miss the playoffs very much, but they were still probably one of the 4 best teams.
Yeah.
Most years. And if we were doing this off, top 12, which I think this is a good transition into the Bama thoughts, because I have thought this thing over and over, and I have had varying opinions. Alabama is one of the 12 best teams, 100%. But we're not ranking and filling a bracket of the 12 best teams. They can tell you that, and they will tell you that, hey, we're trying to get the best teams in here, but they're not. And anybody that at this point believes that is just setting themselves up for failure. What they're trying to do is find this line of, well, these are the best teams, and these teams, they, I guess, for lack of a better word, are the most deserving. They're trying to find this compilation of those two factors mixed in with, obviously, the auto bids that they have to abide by. Yeah. That keeps in, Arizona State and Boise and things like that. But for the Bama fans and for anybody that's like, well, Bama would be favored over Ole Miss or favored over SMU. It's like at a certain point you have to understand that the only people that Bama have to be mad at is Bama. And this team's inconsistencies and this team's ability to do what you did in the Georgia game and then also do what you did in the Oklahoma game, because that's what this team was. This team was one of the most inconsistent teams all season. They were a blast to watch if you were a non-Alabama fan, because you did not know what you were going to get. But ultimately it comes down to they didn't handle their business. And this whole rant, raving, crying, we shouldn't just schedule anybody else, no more non-con because the conference schedule, they just not going to. You did that this year. You played out of conference against South Florida and Wisconsin, and it didn't buy you anything. It actually probably is what screwed you, because if you were a 3-loss team, say they ended up, they were a 3-loss team, they dropped that Oklahoma game. Say if instead of playing Wisconsin, they had played Indiana, who we all assumed they would have beaten, and you end up beating a 10-2 Indiana, then you've got something else to hang your hat on instead of 5-7 Wisconsin and South Florida. So it almost does the opposite for me, where everybody's like, well, this de-incentivizes me scheduling out of conference games. It's like, well, your conference schedule is going to be what it is. Welcome to the SEC. Congratulations. Every other school has to do it, minus Texas this year. There is going to be a team like that with these loaded, like huge amount of teams in a conference. There's going to be a team that probably gets a disproportionately easier conference schedule. That's just kind of unavoidable.
Especially this mass, and especially this kind of mass conference realignment.
Yeah, but if you're Alabama, your non-conference schedule and being as, for lack of a better term, irrelevant as it was, gave you nothing else to hang your hat on in terms of comparing yourself to teams from other conferences. Because, you got the Georgia win and you got the South Carolina win, and those are great wins, incredible wins. But you can't lose to Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. Like, you can lose to Tennessee in a 12-team playoff field. That one you can get away with. But you can't lose to Vandy and Oklahoma and then not have some kind of out of conference win to hang your hat on. And
Nope.
I'm not saying you have to go schedule Ohio State, and I'm not saying you have to go schedule Oregon. I'm not saying you have to go schedule Penn State, but it wouldn't hurt to maybe play. Wouldn't have hurt to maybe play Arizona State this year.
Yeah, but
The
that's another thing
eventual
is
Big 12
you don't
champion.
know too. Like
You also don't. Yes.
this is what's wild about this year is like you
Yep.
in your mind you're thinking some people. I mean, it's a never know crapshoot SEC.
Yeah.
It's like there could have been a world where Oklahoma is fighting for a spot at the end of the year. You know.
Yeah. And they
For,
just, I mean,
for
Oklahoma
Tennessee,
just had.
the Tennessee, it looked worse because you thought NC State was going to be at least be a ranked team. I mean, in my
Yeah.
mind, I was like, that'll be. I mean, it's a good coaching staff. You have Grayson McCall, like. I'll be a top 25 team at the end of the year, and that's one of the worst programs.
Well,
It seems
to be something that Dave Doran just does year in and year out, where he's just like, I'm going to take this, NC State team that no one has any faith in, and we're going to rip off 8 wins.
Yeah,
we're going to rip off. And I know the ACC is not incredible, but
sure ain't,
it's
brother.
definitely
Sure ain't.
better than the NC State version we got this year. But I don't know, man. I saw everybody talking about how Alabama, and I'll just go ahead and say this: if Alabama was going to play SMU, I would take Alabama.
They'd be a
I
favorite.
don't think
They'd be a favorite on neutral site field too.
They'd probably almost be. I mean, what 9.5, 11.5?
I'd say 7.5. Like I think it'd be very
Somewhere around
similar to
there.
this end. Yeah, I think it'd be 7.5, 8.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that. I think it'd be a little bit heavier. I think it'd be closer to like 9.5, maybe double digits. But
maybe. I mean, I just think about like I think Vegas would look after because if it was coming off the Oklahoma loss, you're like,
yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's one of those. I think it would start at 7.5, and I think you'd be right. I think it'd be 9.5.
Oh, dude,
10 by
Bama money would come in. So much money would come in.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, you'd just be having truckloads of money coming on Bama. But
yeah,
we are not in a format where we are just ranking the 12 best teams. I think we should be. I think we should be in a format where we're going to rank the 12 best teams. But it's going to piss people off. I mean, it's already pissed people off. But it just at that point, you're picking who you want to be mad.
Yeah.
So,
well, with that said, do you feel like would you almost rather do a 12 best teams or just reformat or reseed after the first round? Like, do you think that'd be better? Both?
Both. Yeah. Yeah, because I think if you do both, if you take the 12 best teams and then you also reseed after the first round, you get a higher level of competition in the 12-team playoff, and then you also reward your regular season accomplishments because it's like, well, what did Oregon get for being the number 1 seed? Well, they got a bye, and then they get to play Tennessee or Ole Miss or Tennessee or Ohio State. Is that really a first round, like number 1 overall seed reward? Because Texas gets to play Clemson, and then if they beat Clemson, they get to play Arizona State. And I love Kenny Dillingham, and I love Cam Scatterbo and everything that they've done. But
dude, Cam Scatterbo has got some confidence, don't he?
That man's a dog.
That man's a dog, but he believes in himself. He's like, I'm the best running back in the country.
Dude. He does, man. And I'm a Kenny Dillingham fan. I won't be an Arizona State fan, but like I wouldn't mind repping like an Arizona State shirt, you know?
Yeah, like if they ask us to come out there, I'd rip that shirt.
Hell yeah, dude. I'd love to have a sit down with Kenny Dillingham, dude. That would be, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun.
That'd be a good one. He's a good dude to like fire up that interview with.
Oh yeah, dude.
He'll be
a lot
somewhere.
of energy. Yeah, he'd be awesome.
He'll be somewhere big soon. And I mean,
oh dude,
that's another place that like if you've tapped into the right spots and you make it big, dude, as massive that school is, the party school factor of it, there's a world where Arizona State could be a much bigger program than it already is.
Yeah. And I don't think he's going to go anywhere. You know, he's an alum. Yeah, he's an alum.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like he wants to be at Arizona State. It's hard to turn down like one of the big boy jobs. Like if Ohio State came calling, it's really hard to turn down. But I don't know, man. I just feel like Kenny wants to be at Arizona State. I think he'll end up staying there. I hope he ends up staying there. because I would love to see
If
them become like a Big
if
12.
if Day goes down, I don't know. That the coaching market's gonna be very weird
Yeah.
this year. Because it's
How?
Dillingham, it's Belichick.
Yeah, at North Carolina.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ryan Day, how much or how far do you think is it natty or bust? I was going to say how far do you think he has to make it in the playoffs, but realistically,
He doesn't have to win it, but he's got to make it.
but he's got to make it.
You got to beat Oregon. Like I feel like he bounced back against Oregon. As whatever weird narratives that sounds, I think it has to happen.
Yeah.
Ryan
And
Day
also,
has to beat Oregon and at least get there. And if you lose to insert X team, okay. But he has to get to a national championship. Like, well, at least they got there. Like this is
yeah,
probably top to bottom. We've said it 100,000 times. Ohio State top to bottom is probably the most talented team overall. Like
yeah,
NFL talent, whatever, in most
Mhm.
positions. Like there's top end of Georgia, there's top end of Notre Dame, there's top end of whomever, Oregon, but straight line across, NFL guy, NFL guy, NFL guy,
yeah.
award winner, award winner, award winner. That's what Ohio State has. And if this team gets beat by the Vols themselves, brother, Ryan
If
Day's going to be looking for an assistant job down there in Knoxville.
he's going to be a quarterback coach on some NFL roster. So,
Yeah,
dude, I'm kind of with
because
you.
there's no more Saban therapy, like getaways therapies.
Yeah, there's no Saban Rehabilitation Center.
Rehab. That's the
It's
word I was looking
gone.
for. Yeah,
The Saban Rehab Center has closed up shop, and we have yet to see if there will be a Kirby Rehab Center opening. We don't know. We don't
I
know.
don't know if that's gonna happen. I don't know if he's quite old enough yet.
I don't know. I don't know if he's there yet. I don't know if I mean, pumped
How
out
old is
man,
Kirby?
40.
Oh yeah, he ain't old enough yet. Yeah, that's right.
48.
He's not old enough.
He's
yet.
not 50, but he's not far from 50.
I'll say
Um,
for a big time college head coach, he actually looks younger than 45, 48.
he looks like he's about like 40, 42.
I was thinking like early 40s. Yeah, he does.
I think he's sitting at about that like 40, 42 to 43. Like that's what he looks. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, and I think Ohio State has to make the title game for the pressure to come off Ryan Day. Because looking at the bracket, I think if they do manage to make it to the title game, I don't see anybody on the lower bracket that I would necessarily take to beat Ohio State at that point.
Me neither.
Like I know, there's obviously the Georgia defense. They've already beaten Penn State, but I don't know what Georgia's offense is going to be able to do against that Ohio State defense. So, but you got a hell of a road to get there because you're probably you're playing Tennessee, which is a tough draw in the first round. Then you get to go play Oregon again if you win that game. And then if you beat Oregon, you're more than likely playing Texas. So, I mean,
have you seen DraftKings simulated?
I saw somebody put it through College Football 25 and it had Penn State winning it all.
Oh, really?
DraftKings, Oregon, I think.
Oh, DraftKings did it. So it's it is Georgia defeats. We'll run through it real fast. Georgia defeats Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl 30-19. SMU beats Boise State 36-31 in the Fiesta Bowl in a Fiesta game.
Oh, God.
Ohio State defeats Oregon, whips they ass, brother. 48-20 in the Rose Bowl.
Oh, my God.
This one's a good one. Arizona State defeats Texas 26-23. Georgia defeats SMU. I know, dude. I know these are good. Georgia defeats SMU 30-27. I love all these close games.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State defeats Arizona State, words are hard, in the Cotton Bowl 35-28. And then the championship, the Georgia Bulldogs take down Ohio State 24-17.
I'll
Stockton, tell you, Gunnar Stockton just takes home the MVP.
The legend of Stockton.
Could you imagine the statues of Gunnar, 6'1", 215 pounds?
Oh yeah, dude.
He's not a big
Like,
guy comparatively.
no, I mean, bigger than Stetson. So
It's true.
Stetson got 2 of them things.
Some way, dog.
Somehow.
Man.
Yeah, but I'm really excited for this.
This is going to be like,
gonna be good.
all in all, I was like, man, hopefully people are still playing, because I actually thought there would be a time if we had dominant teams, people would kind of like coast a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I'm in. Like 12 teams. Like, there's some bad teams in the back. Like, we're fine. But the championship, all the conference championship games mattered. All of them. Like, especially now with the bye, and getting in. But there was a point in time where you're like, well, let's go back to the first 2 years. Like, well, if Ohio State and Michigan play each other and then Ohio State wins, do they even need to play everybody in the rematch in the conference championship? Like, those were real questions people were having. That's out. This season has been tremendous, dude. From top to bottom, like all the chaos, more chaos in the SEC than I ever thought there would be. I really did think Georgia and probably somebody like Tennessee. I actually thought Tennessee would have a really good year, but I don't know if I ever thought they'd make the playoffs. And, it feels like a lot of people are backdooring, but can all 12 teams backdoor in the playoffs? I don't think so.
No.
And, Oregon winds up being the dominant team, and they looked like it. And dude, that Penn State Oregon game was awesome. And it was really fun to watch, but you're just watching, you're like, dude, who can score with Oregon? Who can score with these guys?
Yeah.
So
Oregon, their defense is just good enough to where they can get some stops.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying their defense is bad, but it's not quite the Texas or the Georgia defense. It's not been dominant for the most part. But man, they can score.
They can score.
They can score, and they are multiple. They can run the ball. They can throw screens. They've got the deep ball. Oregon's a damn good team.
They are. And then you go back to even the Arizona State. It's like they just kept kind of winning. They just figured it out and they got in.
Yeah.
You're like, holy crap, where'd they come from?
Yep.
And it just happens, especially in that big, which we talked about it. Everybody's going to beat each other up, and Utah and insert other team, we're going to probably battle it out for the last one spot for the Big 12. And Oklahoma State, Utah,
irrelevant.
The UCF Golden Knights, they're out. That's what a debacle down there. And all the favorites, irrelevant. BYU was the leader in the clubhouse for a long time. Gone. Miami, same thing. Gone out of the ACC. Clemson basically is the hot, famous version of Arizona State. Like, they just kept on keeping on, and they just won. You're like, are you kidding me?
Dude, they're like a Honda Accord, man, or they're like a Civic, like a Honda Civic, where it's like
a nice Civic.
Yeah, not a Type R, not quite a Type R, but they're up there in the package level, where it's like, hey, they're pretty solid, but also reliable. They're not the hottest team on the block, but they know how to win, man. And
they've got some cool new features.
Yeah, that was my whole reason for picking Clemson going into the ACC title game. Is I was like, it's just the most Dabo thing in the world. All year it's talked about how Clemson's just not Clemson and they're not going to make it, and then they backdoor their way into the ACC title game. I'm like, oh, dude, this is they gave me the script. They mailed me the script to my house. They're like, yeah, Clemson's going to win this game. They're going to backdoor their way into the playoffs and catch a first-round matchup with Texas.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you too. I've kind of liked watching Jennings towards the end of the season. I'm be honest, like there wasn't like a ton of SMU on my television week 1 and 2, but after that, you're like picking up steam. Cool story.
Yeah.
No more blackball. And then Klubnik came on at the end of the year, man. And when I saw him play Tennessee last year, I was like, this guy's got no chance. Thought he would be a guy probably being sat sometime in the middle of the year. He hits the transfer portal, or he's calling it, like, all right, I'm just going to shut it down for the year, hit the transfer portal in the middle of the year. I really thought he was going to be that bad. I thought he'd wind up at, Miami of Ohio or something like that soon. And it flipped on its head because they looked really good. And Jennings looked, Kevin's just a fun guy to watch for SMU. And I'm glad they got in. I think they're still entertaining. I think as far as the entertainment factor, I would much rather have that in Alabama because I think Alabama could lay a stinker against the right team. So
they could. They very well could. And that's the thing is, like, are we going to throw in a team that has the roster but hasn't done what they've needed to do?
Yeah.
And we all understand that at any point could pop and win this whole thing, but they could also go lose to Penn State by 30.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're dealing with. And with SMU, it's like they've been consistent all year. Yeah, they've played lower competition, but they're a team that has moved up into the Power Four and made it to their conference championship game against an opponent who's now won. What was that? That was Dabo's ninth ACC title game, ninth ACC title win at Clemson.
Yep.
So, have you? While we're on the subject of Clemson, are you fully prepared for the Westlake versus Carroll highlight reels that are going to be all over your feed for the next few weeks?
Yes.
Cade Klubnik and Quinn Ewers played each other in high school.
Yep. There's going to be a lot of those.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of good ones. I was trying to think. Somebody was mentioning something like that the other day. I think my favorite question that we're going to get asked is, will we see Arch? Especially after Quinn kind of struggled. Are we going to see Arch is going to be the number one question, probably, of untrue narratives, if you will.
My question for Texas fans, and I've been meaning to pose this question to a buddy of mine, but I feel like I know what his answer was going to be, is what's your plan? Like, say Sark finally does give in and he's like, you know what, we're putting Arch in full reign, and it goes worse than Quinn.
Ooh.
Like, he ends up being a not as and I know Quinn has his moments, but he's not as polished of a passer, and really what his strengths are right now is how Sark's been using him in the run game. And when he plays a defense, I know he's come in and he looked great against Mississippi State and a couple of, lower FBS teams that they played. Yeah, exactly. Like Mississippi State's, we know what Mississippi State is right now. They're a full rebuild. So what's your contingency? What's your plan? How are you going to feel if Arch comes in and it's not any better? Like, are you just going to accept, like, oh, well, we just hit our ceiling this year because this is what we are at quarterback? Or are you going to be like, well, maybe I jumped the gun a little bit? Because I'm someone who I've been on that train. I was telling my buddy Tyler this the other night. I was like, I've been exactly where you are, man. I watched Kirby pick Jake Fromm over Justin Fields. I was like, and I watched him sit there.
That's a good one.
And then I watched him transfer to Ohio State, and I watched him ball out. And Arch, now I was like, where you have the advantage over me from a fandom is you've already, Arch has already come out, his family's already come out and said, we're not going anywhere. We're committed to Texas. We're staying here. I want to play for Sark. We're going to let Quinn be the guy, and then, I'll have my time. So you do have that. You do have the and I think personally that Arch isn't going to be a one and done guy, even though he could be. He could potentially, yeah, he could play next year and then declare. I don't think he's going to be. I think he's kind of going to try to maximize his time with Sark, because he's got two NFL Hall of Fame uncles and a dad that played very high levels of football. So he understands, the quarterback position. If you take care of yourself and you treat it right, you can play for a long time in the league. So there's no rush to get yourself out of college, get yourself on an NFL team, and then have a franchise be looking at you to pull them out of the dust.
Which he would be.
But that's, yeah. I mean, pretty much the way he's being talked about and the way that he's looked so far, we haven't seen him play a full season as a starter where all the tape's out on him. So That's my big posing question for Texas fans is what if you do get Arch and it doesn't get better?
That's scary because
That's not a world
this
Texas
is your
fans want to
saving
live through.
grace. This is your, and I mentioned it last time I was on, is this is your Tim Tebow. Like, you stash him for a year. Even though Chris Leak was a stud, Quinn.
Yeah, dude.
Quinn, I don't know. I'm not gonna say stud. He is not in that category to me. I think he has times where he's pretty dang good. He's pretty dang good.
When Quinn has time to operate and he can play at what feels like his own pace, he's solid.
Very
But
solid.
when he's got to play on the fly and when he's rushed, you see a worse version of Quinn.
Yeah, and it's so bad for Arch now you're expected to be, in a sense, the greatest Manning, because you think that you're supposed to be your uncles, but also your grandfather and your dad
Yeah.
You're the athletic one with
Mhm.
your uncle's talent.
Yeah.
Arm talent. It's like, dude, good luck. And you're playing at Texas. And you have had your magical moments. And now you're just supposed to be a 6'3", 225-pound stud that's going to run over people and also chuck 4 touchdowns in a game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
pretty
your
much.
guy. Like, they are the highest of hopes are on Arch Manning. And I really hope, for his sake, I think you stick with Quinn as long as you can. I mean, even it might even get pretty bad during a game. It's like, man, it's halftime. Unless we're down 30, or unless you're down like 21,
Mhm.
I think you got to stick with him. Just hope for the best, because something happens to Arch, it's not going to be good.
And I think you will, especially after the Georgia game, the way that you didn't see Arch, which
because we talked about it. What did you think?
Yeah, I didn't expect Arch to come in. Like, I expected to see Arch Manning. I didn't expect him to come in and do the same things that Quinn was doing. I didn't expect him to come in and run the offense. I expected them to do a similar version of what Georgia Tech did with Haynes King, where they put him in these running option packages and you attack the Georgia defense the way that they were just attacked a week ago. Not saying, now it's not that easy. You only have a week to install that. That's not your typical offense. So by no means am I trying to say, well, why couldn't they just run what Georgia Tech did? That's just foolish.
Yeah.
Because you can't install that in 6 days. But, they brought him out in the OT, instant 5-yard gain, and then just never did it again. And they brought him out and on the 4th and 1, and they, the creative snap that is now in every NFL playbook where they went between his legs and snapped it to the running back.
Very, very interesting call.
Yeah, Sark real deep in the bag on that one. But you just never saw him again. And I thought it'd be something that you would see at least 7 or 8 times. We would see Arch come in with a designated run. I'm really surprised you didn't see it after they made it to the red zone twice and went 2 for 2 on field goals. Because that to me felt like the opportunity where it's like, hey, you can move the ball with Quinn. You're gaining yardage. You're just stalling in the red zone. Okay. How do we do that? Well, we make everybody account for a man, quarterback run. We got Arch, big dude. We did it last week against Texas A&M. Let's run it. And for some reason, it just didn't happen. And I don't know why. I don't know what Sark's plan was. Obviously that's Sark's program. He's a wizard, but I was kind of scratching my head a little bit that he wasn't given some, especially red zone packages.
Yeah. Because if you want a version of Haynes King, you got it. In a sense. Mm-hmm. Now, Haynes is a different monster. Like you remember back in the A&M days, like he's ran that in a lot of different versions. But yeah, I'm with you. I actually thought they would use him more. That's what I thought they would go to in the second half more, was not quite a 50-50 split, but I thought we would see Arch do a lot of that stuff. Like, hey, we are getting crushed up front. So let's try to get creative. Let's create our version of an RPO situation. Like you mentioned, Sark just doesn't do that. Sark doesn't have that much of the Georgia Tech offense. So let's just be
Yeah,
honest.
no,
Like he's good, and he's gonna be. That's one like I think Sark is gonna be ready for these playoffs, and that's
mhm,
another scary part is whoever has these first rounds, like everybody's already getting 2 weeks off. Now you're the team with 3 weeks off, and somebody like Texas gets rolling after week one or playoff round one. Dude, that's where I think it's kind of NCAA tournament-ish. Like you always see like an
mhm.
11 seed that plays in the play-in. They always make it to Sweet 16 or something like that. I think you're going to see the same thing. Like one of these first round games that it's just going to cause somebody to get hot. And you're like, well, winning three
Yeah,
games wasn't that hard compared to winning, 5 or 6. It's like 3 games, football, dude. Texas gets rolling. That's one thing about them. They are very scary in my mind if they get pissed off and get right up front.
yeah,
But
dude.
yeah, we'll preview games and stuff. I did want to ask, like, with paths,
Mhm.
who do you think has the easiest path to the championship right now? Because
Oh,
that's to me the
man.
big thing is Oregon getting
Uh-huh.
screwed in a way.
Yeah, I mean, if as far as easiest paths go, I'd probably rank Penn State number 1, and then Texas number 2,
Yep.
because if you're Texas, you more than likely I mean, if you're Texas, you get Clemson, you get a down version of Clemson, which I think your defense will be able to, pretty much handle Cade Klubnik and those receivers. Then you go play Arizona State, and I love Arizona State. I love Cam Scatabo, but let's be real here. If they bottle up Cam, Sam Levitt's not exactly going to be dicing up that Texas defense.
No.
So, you know, Texas at that point, you pretty much have to get through Tennessee, Oregon, or Ohio State, one of those three. Um, but on the bottom side, man, Penn State. I mean, you play SMU, you play a team from Dallas, and this is the angle that everybody else has been coming from, but I
Yeah,
mean, it's
it's the
that much.
truth.
You're playing a team from Dallas in Pennsylvania in the third week of December.
It doesn't work.
It's
If
not going to
you are a
be.
Southern team traveling that far,
They are
they
not
don't
going to have a
usually
good
work.
time, dude. They are not going to
No.
have a good time. And so you're Penn State, and you do that, and then what's your reward? You get to go play Boise. And I loved Ashton Genty. He's probably my Heisman pick. But it's Penn State versus Boise, man, and I just at that point, Penn State, you've got to get up for one game. Um, let's just call it favorites here. You're more than likely going to be playing Georgia, and they're starting quarterbacks out. So, I mean, if we're talking the easiest path
Dang, yeah,
to the Natty, it's got to be Penn State, man.
definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
you basically you get the prize that Oregon should have got for winning the Big Ten for losing the Big Ten.
Yeah. Now, it's going to be the Fiesta Bowl is what Boise and Penn State will be playing in.
Yeah,
So closer, but I mean, still, it's not like you're going up to Boise. You don't.
yeah,
That's another thing about the next round is sure if you're Georgia, you're going to the Sugar Bowl and all that stuff, and you're going to play in these bowls, and I know they're never going to do it because of the financials. I get that, but your reward for being one of the first four on the bye is like just the bye.
yep, yep. Oh, you mute? Oh, you're good. Yeah, no, it is, and I'm with you. Like, I think I would love to see the first round be the neutral site games, and the second round be the home games. Obviously, I'm not saying we should double like in that world. We're not keeping the auto bids. We're not keeping the Boise State getting a first round bye and a home game. To me, we're not keeping that. But I would love to see a world where the the top four um, the top four seeds get a home game, and on top of getting the first round bye, because then you really want to incentivize conference champions. You really want to incentivize, and by that point, just having a great regular season, being a top four seed, being a dominant team throughout the regular season. You're muted in StreamYard. I don't know if I can unmute you. Can't unmute guests because they chose to mute themselves. Oh, okay. Anyways,
I'm back.
you're back.
I can't hear
You're
you.
so back. You can't hear me? Oh no. Nothing? Hello. Hello. Professional
I got it.
podcasting.
Professional mics, dude.
Professional podcasting, baby.
Professional
Don't you love it?
podcasting. Listen, my Yeti microphone has been on the fence. It's
Mhm.
the interior of the USB cord, and it's touchy.
I have a spare one of these. It doesn't have a stand on it. You can have it if you want it.
Love that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can have it. I gotta find it. It's somewhere around here. But
Well, the Yeti's great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Blue Yeti. But it's just on the fence, and I'm gonna get a new one. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make the investment. But yeah, I just got excited. I got the hit, whole thing. So I apologize to listeners, and I apologize to you. I didn't hear a damn word you said.
Okay, so we were talking about easiest paths and first round buys, and how basically the format sucks. We hadn't said it, but we were pretty much going.
The format sucks.
Yeah, the format sucks. Which everybody knows the format's bad. It'll get changed. It'll get fixed. I would love to see them. You know how yesterday during the reveal, ESPN did, or not? Yeah, yesterday during the reveal, ESPN did the top 4 seeds. So they did all the buy teams. I would love to see them bracket and do this in reverse. I mean, I know they did it. They did it for that reason because it builds suspense. They did it because the suspense was all SMU, Alabama. Like we pretty much knew who all the other teams were. But in years, ahead, I would love to see them do it backwards. And the reason why I would say that is because what you could do is you could fill out these teams, and then you could plot the top 4 teams based on easiest path, path, because you still have to go out and win football games. But that way Oregon gets the Penn State path. They get the winner of the whoever Boise plays between Penn State and SMU, and you seed it that way. And that way you don't have to reseed after the first round. You've already done that. You just start with the bracket, and then it's like, oh, hey guys, one's going to play the winner of 6 and 11 and the winner of 3 and whoever won 6 and 11. Yeah. And then 2's going to play 10 and 7 and the winner of, that game or whatever. So,
and listen, as somebody that works in college athletics, I do understand the scheduling, the process, especially for football teams. I've not had to deal with that problem yet, but how I know it works is if you're Texas or Clemson, you've already got hotels booked for the Peach Bowl. You've already got those just in 100%. Case. And I think they're going to allow the Texas Longhorn or the Clemson Tigers to have free cancellation, but you already have those planned out because it's only a week turnaround and, or 10 days, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think.
No, it's a week. It's a
week.
Is it
just a week? Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's the games of the 20th and the 21st. And then I think, right?
It's like 9 days, 9 or 10 days, because it's the first. They'll have all the games.
They're on New Year's Day. Yeah. So they're it's like, I think 9 days exactly.
Which that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. So you got to go ahead and plan, and gives people proposition to be like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and buy my Peach Bowl tickets. Mm-hmm. And it's all about the moolah. So I do get that part of it, but that's always for the reseeding. I wish they could do it. I wish there was some way they could do it and just make people have to buy week in advance. And I get logistically that's a nightmare for teams. I get that. I've seen it. We've done this whenever we've gone to national tournaments. You're like, holy crap, I've got to buy a ticket to La Crosse, Wisconsin in 6 days. Mm-hmm. It ain't cheap and it ain't easy. So you're spending a lot of funds there. Now, a lot of these teams ain't hurting for it, but dang, man, it's just like Arizona State too. Like if Clemson sneaks one out over Texas, it's a nice little draw for them. Mm-hmm. Like Oregon by far has the worst back. Yeah,
dude. Because they're
because of the 8-9.
They're catching. Yeah.
Because if you're probably going to get. Let's be honest. I think we all agree. you're probably going to get Texas.
Yeah. If you manage to get through Tennessee or Ohio State, then you go play Texas. More than likely, you go play Texas.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, guys, hang on, we're the number 1 seed. We won the Big Ten. We went undefeated. This is this is the reward we got. This feels kind of
This
like,
is what we got.
this is like we got screwed. And they did. Oregon got screwed, dude. 100%. Oregon got screwed.
Do you worry about, like, I guess another part too is I want to go back to Penn State. Like, if SMU upsets them and then you get either SMU or Boise, that ain't what people want, to be honest.
No.
Like, that's why I think you got to eventually probably do 2 things. I think, and listen, yeah, if you're a college ball fan, you've heard this 100 times already this week. You've got to rank them by the 12 best. Yeah. Or you can keep your automatic bids, but you got to seed them according to their ranking.
Well, if you're going to do auto bids, just auto bid the top 4 teams. Like whoever's
Exactly.
1 through 4, like you get the first round bye. There you go.
But then you also reseed it after that.
Yeah. You can also seed it after you seed the first round.
Oh yeah.
Like the way I was talking about how you fill in the first round of the bracket, and then according to what those matchups are and what those teams are, you seed accordingly depending on who's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because you want to reward your number 1 team. You want to reward what you feel like is the best team and the second best team and the third. Like, they should play, because odds are the number 1 team and the number 4 team are going to be slightly worse. The number 4, you would assume. Obviously, it's a lot of assuming going into that. But I think if you just fill in the bracket backwards, and then you seed the first rounds accordingly, you don't have to reseed after the first round.
True, very true.
Because all you would have to do is, I mean, you could do this now, and all you would do is you move Arizona State to the winner of Tennessee Ohio State. That's who they play. So you fill them in there. You move Oregon to the. You give Oregon their choice, maybe, because I feel like SMU Penn State. Yeah, probably SMU Penn State is where you'd put Oregon, even though they just played Penn State. You give Georgia, Indiana, Notre Dame, and then you give Boise, Clemson, Texas.
Could you imagine if this was more of a, like, vocal leadership thing where you gave Oregon their shot? Like, that would create so much animosity. Like, could you imagine Oregon's like, yeah, give me the winner of Penn State, or give me the Penn State SMU game. Yeah. And are you they're going to pick one of us? Like, they think we're the easiest game. Like that would stir up so much controversy. It'd be so much fun. But
I love it.
And I get it. I get they'll never do it, but I just wish we had, like, I wish Dana White-ish type person was a college football commissioner, and here, because you would get those type of things. Like, you would get true fandom situational football for their playoffs. You would get somebody who would allow, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to allow input for these teams. I want to stir the pot. I want to make so much money. And this is how you would make more money, because you would have every social team attacking each other. You would have a lot of fans hating a new fan base they never even thought about, like Oregon fans hating SMU. Like, what? Yeah, like that. This would build so much controversy, but it would be so much fun. And they'll never do it, because we saw how lame the committee looked in their little room. And I know old JD from On 3 was talking about, he's like, no chips and salsa, nobody standing up. There's not even like a cooler in there.
Can we look enthused? Like,
I mean, just a little bit. Those birds?
Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. Get somebody be on their feet, please.
Or at least bring in a box of pizza.
Yeah. Look, dude, let me watch my committee member crack a natty light and prep for 12 hours of football
Yeah.
on the couch. That's who I trust to make the right decisions.
I'll even say this. There wasn't even a laptop in there.
Nope. No notepads.
If you want to go
No.
on the serious side of it, there's no
Yeah.
notepads, no laptops. Staged, brother. Staged.
It's
There's folks
just
ain't watching that. That's a crappy 3. That was actually a pretty
man.
bad 3 TV setup too. I was
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
honest, I was like, you guys are rich people. Like somebody has a sick theater man cave, right? If you're a college,
nobody has a couple 80-inch TVs where we
yeah,
could just post
somebody
up.
has what do they call like the 4 TVs connected? It's like
Yeah, the 4 like where
yeah,
4 TVs make up 1 TV. You know how many
somebody has to have
offices?
one of those.
You know how many office buildings I've seen that in small businesses, and
We
can't get
got
that for
freight
the college.
brokerages right down the mountain, dude. Like that
I
have that.
mean, dude, what are we? This is not an amateur operation here.
No. Did you see the man cave that went viral? Like he's even like giving prices of going out. I think he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's like his man cave. It went
No,
pretty viral this last week, and it's unbelievable. And he has the four TV setup like that. 4 TV setup on his left wall when you walk in. It's like open bookcase, all the cool stuff of a man cave you'd hope to have. Go in left is the big 4-box TV with 2 on the side, and then you have another one that's like pretty much 5 or I think it's like 4 or 5 TVs all on different channels. That's what I imagine my college football committee doing. Like that's how they need to be watching.
Fiending college football, man. But
Yeah.
it's just like, I mean, it's like, and I can't, shout out Pate, dude. He says it all the time. The people running this sport and the people that are in charge of making decisions don't love this sport the way that you think they do. And it just breaks my heart, man.
Yeah, wow.
Like it did, because for the longest time I thought the people that are in charge of college football have to absolutely love college football, because all that suit and tie, all that business and the shiny shoes, that's all left for the league, man. That's all in the NFL. And that's what pushed me away from the NFL for the longest time, because I was like, it just felt so corporate. I was like, college football is not like that, man. It feels like it's some dude in a room in a ball cap making decisions, and it's not. And I'm sad. I'm so sad it's not.
I need the Pates. I need the Pickels. I need the Clatts. Those are the people I want running college football. Even Brenneman.
People that would die on a stake for this sport, man.
Yeah.
That's who I want making decisions.
I need people like that just can't wait to hop on a Sunday or Monday show to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. Like they eat, sleep, and breathe it. Put me on the committee.
We don't have that. Look at that. Look at those guys. Some of those guys might really like it. Really like it. But I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the love.
No.
Like it's been really hard as a married man to show my wife how much I enjoy watching college football on Saturdays.
Oh yeah.
Even these Fridays and some Thursdays and some weird Tuesdays.
Dude, you can't sleep on Maction, baby.
For 20 plus hours a week. Or at least have it on for 20 plus hours a week. Probably, I'd say there was 4 or 5 weeks where there was just great games throughout the day. There's some times we're going to go do stuff on the Saturday. We got some family time we're going to go do. That's fine. But on like October 12th or October 19th, those days were set aside. You're like, hey, love, I have a long day ahead of me. Watching this television, I'm going to move another one down to the bottom here. And we're going to watch 2 games at once. I'm going to 4-box the big TV, or maybe 2-box. It depends on the time.
Yeah, and the game slate and things like that.
Bingo. So this is what I'm going to do, and that's been really hard to describe as a man. I'm not going to lie to you, but now I have a daughter who loves screen time, who loves college football, and who loves college basketball, and also watches the Penguin with me. So now we're on a run for the century, guys. We're on a run for the century.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love the sport so much, man. And sitting in that room or sitting there watching those people in that room, I'm like, you can't tell me any of them have ever looked at themselves in the mirror when their team's on the ropes and thought, they're losing because of this shirt. They're losing because I didn't wear my lucky socks. They're losing because I'm wearing my hat a little bit too crooked. Oh man, I didn't get up and I didn't have my usual 3 biscuits and a sausage and 2 eggs. That's why the Dogs can't get it done today. That's why. That's why the Horns are losing. That's why the Ducks ain't having the best time. You know what, man? You know what? I knew I shouldn't have left the house this morning. That's why we didn't beat Ohio State, man. Because I took 3 steps and I jumped off the stairs on the porch instead of taking all 3 steps like I normally do on game day. Like, that's who I want making decisions. People that are in an irrational state of mind watching the sport because they care so much.
Fact. We need guys that know their record in that jersey or that jersey or that hoodie. I need you to know, hey, whenever we play in the SEC, I'm going to wear my Volunteer Traditions long sleeve hoodie shirt. That's what I need to know. And those guys don't have that.
And I have to eat exactly 2 pieces of cheese pizza and a piece of pepperoni before the 2-minute warning in the second quarter, or we'll lose.
Yeah. I need to know that for the next 24 hours, my day is ruined because of 18 to 24-year-olds. The committee doesn't have that, bro.
They don't have that, man. They don't have that grit, dude. The suits are too tight. The bow ties are too. They don't got the grit, man. They don't got the grit.
They ain't got the grit, bro. Call us up, committee. You want a new one? We got you.
You want somebody who loves this sport, who fiends this sport, not because he has to,
Joseph
just because
Guthrie.
He chooses to.
It's 11 o'clock. Oregon State is down to BYU 31-7. You're watching that game, Joseph. You're watching that game in 2025.
Oh, dude. Locked in, man.
Locked in. I don't think our boy Greg Lerner was trying to make it. I just don't know if he's going to get here, bro.
Dude, traveling's a lot. And, just glad he said he did touchdown, so just glad our boy made it safe.
That's right. It's foggy out there. I don't know if it's foggy where you're at.
Rough. It was a rough drive home.
Drive. Yeah, it sure was. Sure was.
Yeah.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
We'll preview them later on this week.
Yeah, we'll do full deep dives for all the games.
We have an Ohio State guest coming on next week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a Vols guest on soon. I do want to try to get some more people, but of the matchups, what are you most excited for right off the gun?
Oh, man. I really think this Indiana-Ohio State game, Indiana-Notre Dame game, I was looking at Ohio State, so I read Ohio State.
Yeah.
I really think this Indiana-Notre Dame game could be probably the best game just from a pure entertainment standpoint, because I feel like Texas-Clemson might be kind of ugly. I feel like SMU-Penn State could be kind of ugly. The Tennessee-Ohio State game, to me, feels like it's going to be a ball-knower game.
Yeah.
Where you might be like some casual fans are going to be watching. They're going to be looking. They're going to be seeing what's happening. They might get frustrated and be like, well, why can't we just do this? Or why can't we just do that? Like Tennessee, Ohio State feels like it's going to be a ball knowers game where it's like, if you understand what you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, this is a good one. And I think Indiana, Ohio State, the battle for Indiana, man. Indiana, Notre Dame. God dang it. How many times am I going to say Indiana, Ohio State? Indiana, Notre Dame, the battle for Indiana could be electric. Could be electric.
I think I like that matchup because it's right there. It's home turf for both.
Yeah.
I don't want Indiana to travel that far. I want them to have a shot. The two time zone system is just terrible for these Big Ten teams. Like they have been atrocious. I'm sure that I know there's been some that won. Penn State was somebody that traveled out to USC and got that dub. Another miss for your boy. Golly bum, USC and UCF. I just want to relive that for a tough year. I really thought those two, the Tennessee Titans as well, eliminated from the playoffs. So I'll mention that. That's really all I want to talk about that.
Hey, listen, man, you're standing right there and you're wearing that badge of UCF and USC, and I'm standing right next to you with Oklahoma State and Kansas State. and Utah.
Really believe. Yeah, in Utah.
Because I mean, I was in on Oklahoma State, brother. And boy, I mean, we're talking about Mike Gundy almost leaving. That is not where I thought the program was going to be in December.
No, especially in this Big 12. God.
Yeah, dude. I was like, you're talking about a team that competed with Oklahoma and those Lincoln Riley teams, and they made it to the Big 12 title game. And I mean, yeah, they were outmatched by Texas last year, but like, this is their conference now. No, it's not. Apparently, it runs through Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils. So
that's what's crazy. What a wild time where Arizona State
picked to finish last, or was it last or 12th in the Big 12 or something
last
like
year?
They were near the bottom.
It was bad either way.
Yeah, sanctions, back-to-back 3-9 seasons.
That's so crazy.
And
then this thick white running back as your savior. Let's be honest.
Thick white running back. The Amish stud.
Yeah, the Amish stud. Man, we got so much. I mean, we got a little while. I mean, we'll have Army Navy this weekend, but
yeah,
college football is not going to happen in a full slate this weekend. That's going to feel really weird. Mm-hmm. Probably need a breather. Probably do need a breather at some point, but I'll say that this season's been awesome. I can't believe it's almost over. I can't believe it's almost. Yeah.
Don't. You're gonna make me cry on air, man.
I'm sorry. I
thought about that like before last weekend. Like Thanksgiving weekend, I was like, damn, dude, it's already rivalry weekend.
Yeah.
And now it's like we were just getting pumped for October 12th like 2 weeks ago. What do you mean? Not literally, but every time, man. It's like the season takes forever to get here, and then those first 3 weeks it kind of drags, and then conference play starts, and boom, the season's over. I know it's not. The season's not for coaches and players. Like they're the ones that are gonna look at you and be like, "Dude, this is a long season." But as a fan, it's like,
whoa.
Once conference play starts, you blink and it's over. And I'm just like, it's never long enough. It never feels like it's long enough. But that's anything with.
And I will say this: I was watching yesterday, like all the new bowl games coming in, and all the renaming from when you were a kid, and I just started thinking about like nobody's going to play in these. Like nobody's going to play in these anymore. That's real tough to try to figure out. But
do you think
there's that? It's like, oh,
he made it.
He's
alive and thriving
from the airplane. Landing on your screens, the one and only Greg Larner.
Hello, fellas.
3 claps one time. How you doing?
Man, what a journey. What an absolute journey.
Don't you just love delayed flights?
Oh, yeah, your boy's going to be writing a strongly worded email. Delayed flights, super delayed, and then it gets less delayed, and there's no in-flight entertainment on the way there or the way back. Your boy's getting some miles for sure.
You were just raw dogging a flight? Yeah. Like no entertainment, nothing?
I mean, I had cribbage on my phone. I'm listening to music. I spent most of the flight, if I'm being real with y'all, trying to cut up that Mike's Hole in the Wall clip for us to post sometime this week with your boy, what's his name, from Mike's Hole in the Wall.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So we had a productive flight. We got another social media video ready to drop for tomorrow about the Tennessee Vols. It's a good one. It's you have to blind rank 5 different Vols. So we're excited about that.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna jump out of here real quick. I'm gonna get on the good internet that I just bought because
go get the good internet and come on back.
Let me get the other back, and I'll
got to get the good internet.
Our boy elevated himself this week, and he has hopped out. Are you on the good internet?
Wait, is he back?
Hey,
I don't think it should take him a second to jump in and out.
When you elevate your internet, there's no better feeling like that first time when you're just lightning through things.
I mean, I can't live without good internet, dude.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Moving upstairs, like the router, it's just like right there, and bathrooms that way.
Hopefully,
there we go.
hopefully that'll be better moving forward.
Crystal clear, baby.
We're on the EPB train now.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes. Shout out EPB.
Gig
Love
City.
EPB.
Sponsor us.
Gig City, baby. That's what we're for.
So I've been kind of in and out. I was listening to y'all a little bit while I was getting off the plane, and then while I was, getting myself situated here. I don't think we need a breather from college football, to be honest with you. I need more. I want more.
Yes.
Bring it.
Yeah.
This is the most I've ever been into
Every
college
weekend.
football. And I'll tell you what,
It's the
on
best sport in the
Saturday,
world.
Great year for it.
yeah, and on Saturday, I was at that grand event party for the facility that just opened out in Alexandria, Virginia. Shout out to the Dugout, Layla, and Lacey, all the people involved with that. But they had a couple of TVs set up, and we were locked in towards the end there. What a hell of a game! Congratulations, Joseph. Shout out to you. Cheers.
Stress.
We all enjoyed seeing Joseph's group text, not made for television, but it was great to see because we all know that joy of you're like, are you kidding me? We have our starting quarterback, despite whatever you think. And now we have to rely on a man named Gunnar Stockton.
What a name, though.
Gunna.
That's the dude I want to be my starting quarterback. F. Carson Beck. I hope he doesn't get back. I hope his arm is I hope his UCL is torn. I want Gunnar Stockton to win you a national champion. I want a championship. I want him to be Nick Foles of college football.
I hope they make
actually
it
don't
pretty
hope-
far.
I hope that his UCL is not torn. I would love for him to play. I feel bad for him, the whole thing. But I just love me some Gunnar Stockton. Maybe he'll have his time in the sun next year.
Do you guys have any? Is there a big time recruit coming in?
No. Ryan Montgomery is the 2025 quarterback. And then we also have Jaden Rashada.
That's what I was thinking of.
Which looks like Jaden Rashada is the third string because Gunnar come in. So honestly, I like when they were coming back to the broadcast and they were like, Carson's not going to play. I'm like, Jaden Rashada going to play? Is he ready? And then Gunnar rolls out there. I'm like, okay.
You're
that makes sense. Well, he's been in the program longer. It makes sense. So.
It does make sense from probably a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
And also had a little pizzazz about it. Had a little pop.
Hey, listen, all I needed to see was when he took off for that first down and he lowered his shoulder into the cornerback. I was like, oh, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. He's looking for contact. He's not scared of it. The team's behind him. Like that and the little shoulder tap, butt tap between him and Trevor Etienne right before the first snap. I was like, oh, okay. They believe in this kid. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
The ground and pound game is going to be impressive.
Yeah.
That second round.
I'm very curious to see what they do with Gunnar. So you got 3 weeks to prep him. So
unless Carson gets back.
He ain't coming back.
We kind of talked about it a little bit. It's not looking good. If I had to bet money on it, I would bet that Carson took his last snap as a Georgia Bulldog.
Great handoff, good send off.
Oh, dude, no better way to cap your career than your last snap being a handoff to win the SEC title.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, that's right. He did come back and do that because Gunnar got hit in the head. That's right. Yeah.
Gunnar got rocked.
Yeah. Yes, he sure did. Sure did.
That's what a hit, dude.
He got rocked.
What a hit.
I can't believe they got in on that handoff. I'm like, there's no chance he's throwing a football here.
No shot. Well, he's walking out there and his arms just
dangling,
flailing, and
yeah. The curiosity I'm going to have, how they're going to run that offense, because the design run, which you're doing on the fly, but that second drive with Gunnar, you're like, oh shit, they kind of figured this out. He's going to go wide right, and he's fast, but he's not not a blazer.
No, he's not. I think he's like a 4.8 guy, so he's not super quick. But shout out Lawson Lucky, catch of the season for that kid.
True.
I mean, get the toe down,
What a
help
freaking
us
snag,
convert.
dude.
Like,
That play's
well,
going to go back and
if they're
you're like,
catching
what if?
passes, I mean, I saw somebody double box that in with the Brock Bowers catch in the Ohio State game, and they're like, "Yeah, Georgia tight ends get it done." I'm like, apparently, dude. I mean,
Apparently, dude.
what is that? Like, can't get a 5-star, can't get a first round receiver, but boy, you best believe our tight ends make some
Dude, those big boys get it done.
Oh gosh. Okay, sorry. It was off my
There's your little soapbox.
yeah, off my soapbox.
All right. So what did I miss? What do you need my opinion on that we've talked about already, or we haven't talked about already?
We're probably just we're kind of finishing up, but
I figured. I was like,
first round matchups. Like, what are you looking forward to most of those?
Ooh, the first round matchups. What I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, which game?
Oh man. Well, obviously, Tennessee, Ohio State. I think is going to be not a lot of
all of it.
Not a lot of fireworks in that one. I really believe that game is going to be a ground and pound defensive battle because both of those teams really good on defense. As weird as it sounds, I know how much football Will Howard's played. I almost believe more in Nico as a quarterback than I do in Will Howard right now. But that Ohio State defense is so good that wide receiving core is so good too. It's going to be tough on our secondary. Other than Tennessee, I think Indiana Notre Dame is going to be really interesting because I could certainly see Kurt Signetti and those boys at Indiana with the Hoosiers giving Notre Dame some problems there. I mean, shoot, they lost to NIU at home. Who's to say they can't lose to Indiana at home? I would really love to see them give them a game and make it interesting out there. And I mean, I'm sure y'all have talked about it. Penn State has got an absolute cakewalk to potentially a semifinal game.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say cakewalk, but they've got the easiest path.
They've got the
That was another thing. It was like who are the teams that have the easiest pass? And it feels like Texas and Penn State.
How in the world? And this is what is so annoying to me. And I think what you said in the group chat, Joseph, is so true. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it. But the reseeding after the first round would be so imperative. It makes no sense to have Boise State as a 3 seed. And then whomever's in that bracket, again, all due respect to Boise State. Love the blue turf, the whole thing. I wish they had a home playoff game. They should be playing in the first round, not having an automatic bye, although I understand why they have the automatic bye. Boise State's a good football team. Their only loss was to BYU, and it was to Oregon, right? Yeah, Oregon.
Only by less than 10.
Yeah, they gave them a game out there for real. So they're a good team, but I'm sure Oregon probably didn't really play their best game against them, the whole thing. But yeah, those are a couple of the games I'm really looking forward to. Like you said, Penn State, Texas, they've got the sort of the easiest route. And I know you guys were talking about Scattaboo. What'd you call him? The Amish stud?
The Amish stud, baby.
Man, I love him. I love Whittingham. Levitt, the quarterback, is fun to watch, man. They got no fear, and they're just a fun group to watch. I really like that Arizona State squad. I'm glad that they got some respect and they got their first round bye and they're happy and whatnot. And I heard you guys talking a little bit about Clemson, like them just.
It just feels like the biggest
most
backdoor
Dabo thing ever, man.
Exactly,
it's like the most Dabo thing. Like the moment where you have a season where you could finally be like, "Hey, Dabo, what you're doing isn't working," and he wins the ACC because Miami just can't figure it out. But I'm glad you brought up. There's something I do want to run by you, GYU, since you hopped on the show with this. Is
nice
you brought up reseeding. What's up?
Nice sweatshirt, by the way.
Oh yeah, you like that?
I do.
Looks good. Looks good.
Does look real good.
Since you brought up reseeding, we had actually had some discussions about that, and I told Chase, I said, I think and I get why ESPN did what they did because the whole suspense of the show and the pregame show was Alabama versus SMU. Pretty much we knew who everybody else was. At this point, it's just who's where.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would almost be better instead of maybe reseeding after the first round and having to worry about doing that. You just seed the field backwards. And so you start with 12 and then you seed in, 11 through 5. And then depending on what those matchups are, you seed 1 through 4 depending on those matchups. So like what you would do is you would seed the first round, and then okay, we have SMU and Penn State, and we have Clemson, Texas. You could put Oregon over the SMU Penn State game. People are like, well, they just played. It's like, well, guys, we're probably going to have repeat offenders here. I mean, Texas and Georgia played twice. They could play a third time. Rematches are going to happen.
And that was a good game. Like I was actually surprised the way that Penn State was able to kind of hang with them a little bit offensively.
Yeah, like I would watch that game again. I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you start with that, and you give Oregon the SMU Penn State game, and then you give Georgia like the Indiana Notre Dame game again, and then Arizona State gets the Tennessee Ohio State game because they're the 4 seed, and then Boise State gets the Texas Clemson game, and you would seed it that way.
Yeah,
and then you're reseeding. Yeah, then you don't have to worry about something Chase had brought up, which is actually, I'm glad he did, because it's not an angle I had thought about.
So smart.
Was having to, go ahead and buy tickets and book hotels and things like that. You don't have to worry about doing that and being wrong because you got reseeded.
Yes, that's a great point.
That goes ahead and takes all that out, takes all the guesswork out, and then you still get rewarded for being the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed and the number 3 seed and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic idea. Like, God, they should be employing you to do these type of things and to come. You guys come up with these.
The commissioner.
We had the passion conversation, man. We sat there and we were like, that watching that committee, there's no food, they're not pre-gaming, nobody's standing watching the games. And I told Chase, I was like, there ain't a single person on that committee that's standing there that's looked themselves in the mirror and thought, my team's losing because I wore the wrong shirt today.
Facts.
And that's what they're missing, man. They're missing the passion, dude.
What do we need? Do we need to put Pat McAfee on the committee?
Dude, you know what? Give me Pat, give me Saban, give me Josh Pate, give me Joel Klatt. And who else did you guys want to put?
There's another guy that I don't know what his name is, but he talks a lot of college football. I see him on social media and things like that. He's got some good hair.
Probably JD Pickell from.
I do put JD up there.
Is he on 3?
Yeah,
on 3. Yeah,
that's probably the guy I'm thinking.
Blonde hair.
Of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
great
JD.
head of hair on him.
JD's awesome.
Great head of hair.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Some randoms. I think Billy Belichick would be a good one. That he doesn't need to go get the Carolina job. He needs to be on the college football commission.
Dude, get rid of the active athletic directors.
Yeah.
Ditch the active athletic directors.
They're just fundraising. They're doing all their stuff.
They should not be athletic directors.
No, they're just out there, doing budgets and caring about all their school stuff. They're not ready for a college football commissioner. This needs to be, as Joseph mentioned, this needs to be a passion project.
You want to put Herbie in there? Desmond
Hell
Howard?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Kurt, or what's his name? Ricky Davis?
They have to be pretty unbiased. But, I mean, I guess they could be. If you have Herbie in there.
Hell, I'd put Gus Johnson in there.
I wouldn't be mad at Gus Johnson being in there.
Speak about
unbiased. Put the whole game day, put the whole game day cast,
yeah.
Oh yeah, could you imagine if game day got to be the final say? That'd be good. That'd be a good one.
That would be fantastic.
I mean, ESPN already has the rights to the playoffs, so
just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
which is weird. Which is weird to see. I was looking on here, I was like, what channel are these on? The SMU Penn State game is going to be on TNT.
What?
Yeah. TNT or Max.
Oh, dude, do we get the inside the NBA crew to preview?
Yeah, I would love
Charles Barkley.
Oh, dude.
Do we get Charles for Texas and Clemson also?
Yes.
I would please. I'll pay whatever amount of money.
Cade Klubnik got what?
Pay whatever amount of money, dude.
Matthew McConaughey.
Dude. All right.
Dude, that's gonna be awesome. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's so TNT gets the noon game, SMU Penn State, and then the 4:00 right after Texas and Clemson. TNT, baby.
Wow.
They're both on TNT?
Yeah, they're both on TNT.
Oh, and then so Ohio
Was that a part of the deal for the inside the NBA crew? That's what it was.
I think so.
That was a part of one of the deals. That was actually a trade.
ESPN licensed out some of the games to them, and they let the inside the NBA crew
That
Do
was
it.
the actual trade. I think it was like those games, and then also a bunch of Big 12 games next year.
Incredible.
The first true media trade. I loved it. I was like,
Mhm.
this feels like video game stuff.
This
I'm
is.
digging this.
Yes.
I like
Yes.
this.
Did you
I
guys
like this a
happen
lot.
to see the 8.5-minute SEC short video today?
Yes.
I did not watch
Oh
all of it.
my God, it was
I will
fucking
go back and watch
awesome.
this before I
It
go to bed.
was hilarious. Like the amount of production that went into that was I was dying. I was well worth the 8.5-minute watch. Like I typically love those anyways, but that
Mhm.
one was just hilarious.
They keep getting better on those.
They do. They're so
You know,
good.
you know what shocks me the most about those is their turnaround.
Yes.
They got to film those
yeah.
like starting Saturday night and Sunday, and then pump it out Monday. Like filming, editing, posted.
Oh yeah, the stuff in the
I
woods
mean,
had to have been done yesterday
Sunday morning.
afternoon?
Yeah.
yeah,
in the morning,
yeah.
something like that.
Had to be. Had to
They
have
got a
been.
whole command center. Like, where do they film this stuff?
I don't know, dude.
Like, what?
Yeah. The
It's
turnaround is
amazing.
incredible.
It's
We get a lot.
amazing.
We get a lot of props to people today.
Have we?
Yeah, I mean, some people deserve it, man. You know,
Yeah.
gotta
No,
shout out.
I love it. Yeah,
Shout out.
positivity, baby. I'm in.
I guess last thing we covered, G,
Juan
because
Soto?
everybody else has talked about it, so we gotta get your thoughts on it. Alabama,
Oh, we're not talking baseball.
no,
no.
Huge news. That's bigger than
700,
Alabama.
765 million reasons why.
yeah, oh yeah. Juan Soto,
Potentially 800 million.
what,
Incentives.
$5,900 an hour for the next 15 years?
Oh, so amazing. Thank you, Uncle Stevie.
Juan, I'll
for,
take
for a future for a DH in 5 years.
That's fine. We need a good DH. Our DHs have been terrible.
We were actually talking about this at lunch today.
Shohei's a DH. Shohei was a DH.
Yeah, but Shohei brings in the revenue, like internationally.
Juan's going to bring in some international money as well.
Like that's one thing is like I don't understand how you make the money back.
It's ticket sales, international viewership.
Bring in
oh my God, yeah, because this message is going to be good.
$765 million worth.
Of course not. Nobody's going to bring in that type of money. But
that's
like
saying,
they're
like,
pumping
Shohei
out tickets already. Oh yeah, no, Shohei's worth more money than Juan Soto. I'm not going to even sit here and bullshit you guys. Like he's certainly worth more than Juan Soto. Juan Soto should be one of the 5 highest paid baseball players in Major League Baseball. But Shohei should certainly be the number one. But it's just like, hey, whoever's up next, it's like quarterbacks in the NFL. Like somebody's going to get paid.
Yeah.
It might not be the right guy, but it's like, well, he's the next in line. His contract's up. So we got to pay him what, the going rate is at this point. And it's insanity that it's $765 million.
$765 million.
Golly.
Dude. That blows my mind.
I don't love the contract, but I do love the player. He's a freaking awesome hitter. Is going to transform our lineup. Much more consistent than Pete Alonso. I'm sure he's not coming back, but it is what it is. Anyways, go ahead. Ask me about Alabama.
Oh, I just wanted to get your opinion on the outrage that people have had over Alabama getting left out, and what seems to be the university and all their fans boycotting scheduling strong out of conference games from here on out because according to them, it's not worth it.
Well, all you have to do is not lose to a bad Oklahoma team, and you're in. Like it. I mean. That's really it. I mean, you beat Georgia, and that's a great win, especially after they won the SEC championship. But, like, don't lose to Oklahoma. What was it, like 21-3? Like, just don't do that, and you're in.
24-3.
24-3.
They lost by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So.
And SMU, they deserve it. They got to the conference championship. I understand that their conference is not as strong as the SEC, and they didn't have to face the level of competition that Alabama did. But they also didn't have that level of a loss. They certainly didn't have as good of a win, of course. They didn't, beat the number 2 team in the nation. But, they didn't
have an egregious loss.
Yeah.
They did.
Like the Oklahoma
They
loss.
beat the teams that were on their schedule, and their 2 losses were to 3 points at home to a good BYU team. And then obviously, of course, in the ACC championship game. And that was another thing the committee had showed us when the rankings came out and the 12-team playoff was released was teams really didn't get punished all that much for being in a conference championship game, which I liked. That was one thing that I thought they did well is, hey, let's not punish a team for getting to a conference championship game and losing. Now, if somebody got their doors blown off, okay, that might have been a different story, but nobody really got their doors blown off. Like, there were good games in the conference championship games, the big ones.
The big ones.
Yeah.
And that is another thing is like, I'll give the committee flowers for that. Staying true to what they said was they weren't going to punish you for making your conference championship. Now, this could all change next year too. That was another thing I was thinking about was don't think the precedent is set, because if you try to go and schedule easier games, then the next thing you know, they're going to be like, well, we're going to punish you for scheduling easier games, because that's just how they are. Everything's been different every year, whether it's the 14, whether it's picking your champions, like all that stuff, like everything's going to be different. And they're going to try to adjust, and they're going to try to listen to the wrong people, I think. But that if we're going to get that committee that's wearing, fully buttoned up polos and things like that, then this is what we're going to get. They're going to try to appease the wrong people, and they're going to keep trying, and you're never going to appease everybody. So glad that's not my job, but this is going to change often. So if you're going to be Alabama and you're going to be like, well, you know what, we're just going to schedule cupcake games. Go for it. Then you're going to be punished in 2 years.
Or you'll have the same result you had this year, where you scheduled out of conference. It wasn't great, and your conference schedule is what kept you out.
Exactly. And it's going to bounce around every year.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Leave the SEC? No.
Yeah.
No shot.
Just beat Oklahoma.
Here's the thing, man, is like there's going to be a world. I think it's very realistic and very possible to say there's going to be a world for this Alabama team where you play a harder conference schedule down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Look at what Georgia played this year. You tell me that can't happen to Alabama, where they have to play Georgia and Texas and LSU because they play LSU every year. And then you play in Oklahoma when Oklahoma's not a dumpster fire. What are you going to do then? What are you going to complain about at that point? Well, our conference schedule's too hard. Okay, buddy.
Oh, okay. And it is loaded, and it's always going to be loaded in the SEC.
Yeah, dude. Welcome to the SEC, man. They added 2 perennial programs. Oklahoma's a little down now, but Texas is on the way back up. Oklahoma will find their way back up, and then it's just going to be that much deeper.
Yeah. And that's another thing is, again, it all falls on where you think somebody might be, because Wisconsin, you at least think it's going to be a better team than what they were. Than they were going to be better than the 5 and 7 they turned out to be. And at Wisconsin's tough in every sport. That's a fan base that really brings it out. Like the Kohl Center is one of the worst places to play in college basketball, and that's one of the toughest places to play in college football for the Big Ten. So
jump around, baby.
Jump around, baby. Jump around. But don't lose to Vandy and don't lose to Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's really it's not even just Vandy.
It's like don't lose to Arkansas and you're in the SEC championship.
Yeah, it's really not even Vandy. It's literally Oklahoma.
Yeah,
because you don't lose to Oklahoma and you're fine.
Narratives matter, and the Vandy one's like, oh, the magical story, like they lost to a really tough Vandy team, and it's like, well, Oklahoma, same record, but
dude, Oklahoma's pulling people out of the stands to play receiver, and you got housed.
You got housed by a guy that's not even at that school anymore.
I mean, they're literally playing like 7-on-7. They couldn't even field a 7-on-7 team with so many hurt receivers.
Yeah.
And you lost by 21. Dude, no sympathy. And it's not even just because it's Alabama. It's a team vying for the 12th spot. Like you are you're outside the top 10. In every other year, you wouldn't even sniff a chance at the national championship.
Yeah. And I hate to say it, like things kind of worked out in your advantage, like Clemson beating SMU. Like I do think if they smacked Oklahoma, they're going to let Alabama in.
Like, dude, if they don't even have to, they could have won that game 25-24. Just win.
Yeah. Just win it.
Just win. Yeah.
Now, if SMU had won that game and Clemson did it, would Alabama be in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Clemson was already ranked behind Alabama.
They were out,
Yeah. So, nobody else.
Which to be honest with you, man, even if we were doing the 12 best teams, I'd be fine with SMU still being in and Alabama getting in over Clemson.
Yeah.
Even though they won the ACC. Like if we were just ranking, we didn't have this auto bid system, I would have been totally fine with Alabama getting in over Clemson.
Do we have the 12 best teams in the country in the college football playoff?
No. We do not.
No.
And that's
I
just
think it's close
being
because
handicapped by the format. Like
I think I'll say this. I think the bottom 4 to 5 teams, the bottom 4 teams could have been any of the next 6 or 7. Like Ole Miss talent wise can go beat anybody in this playoff. Legit.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the best front. And the team right behind them, South Carolina, was playing better than anybody else in the country.
Yeah.
And they have maybe the funnest quarterback at times in the North Sellers, but you also have maybe a better playing front at the time than Ole Miss because they can attack you in so many different ways. Jackson Dart is Jackson Dart. Like overall talent wise, it's Ole Miss is top 4. Like from a probably going to get drafted standpoint, like I'm trying to think about it, like Ohio State's up there, Georgia, but then you have that whole front from Georgia or for the whole front from Ole Miss. Wide receivers are always great. Dart's going to get somewhere. Like there's just levels to this thing. And it's like talent wise, Ole Miss to me, if you want to just like put who would probably win a championship, I think Ole Miss is up there over some other teams.
Yeah. I would take Ole Miss to beat. And I mean, same, just to be biased or to be unbiased, same problem for Ole Miss. Don't lose to Kentucky. You can't lose to Kentucky. Like you lost to a hot Florida team you're on the road. You can't lose to Kentucky at home. Can't do it. So, but yeah, I mean, I would take Ole Miss to beat. I'd take Ole Miss to beat more than half this field.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go try Sibley next week.
Are you?
I'm going to Gainesville for the first time for my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old
Of
Billy
all
boy.
the places.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm really going to my uncle's, but I thought I would just like instead of flying, I would take just a road trip down there. And I was like, what can I see that like I could stop like partway on the way? And there's just like nothing in Georgia there that like I would particularly want to like stop at. So I'm like, I'll just drive 7 hours to Gainesville and I'll check out the campus. I've never been to the swamp, maybe I meet with the softball coach and pick his brain a little bit. Maybe I say hello to Billy, who knows?
Gainesville is one of the grossest places in the world.
That's fine. I just want to experience it for myself. I understand you and Biggie have that sentiment.
It is the ugliest place in the entire country. There's this blue and orange McDonald's.
Ooh, that sounds cool. I gotta go.
It's not. I walked in there as the only Tennessee fan decked out in orange. Boy, I have never in my life felt more hated. I could feel it when I walked in there. I was sitting in the middle. This is young, strapping 21-year-old Chase Green,
bucked up,
being like, "Don't think I'd be winning this one."
Well, okay. So what you're telling me is just don't wear my Tennessee stuff there.
Yeah, just don't wear your Tennessee stuff.
Okay, all right. We'll be all right.
I got a Georgia shirt you could wear.
I'm sure they love that.
I don't think that's going to go over well either, bro. I don't think that's going to go over well.
I'll just carry my Billy Napier bobblehead in there, and
they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But back to the point of, like, I think Ole Miss can win more games than Notre Dame. I think Ole Miss can win more games than Boise State. I think Ole Miss can win more games
in the
SMU. Yeah, like I think SMU and I think. Well, maybe SMU and Penn State, they're different because they can beat each other. But in totality, like if I was going to go down, like they're going to play everybody in the super round robin, I would pick Ole Miss to beat more teams than Boise State. Like Boise State might beat the SMU if SMU upsets, but they all feel like 1-win teams, maybe 2 wins because they get the right matchup. But none of those teams can win a championship. Like Ole Miss could win a championship. Don't know how I feel like that way with South Carolina, but even same thing with Alabama. It's like I feel like they can win a championship.
Well, you know what's fun is that like, despite what we think about the bracket and all of that, is that I really like. I know that like it's not almost fair to have Penn State or SMU go play Boise, but like I almost think that like that draw gives them the best chance to maybe win that second round game.
Yep.
You know, like to a certain degree, the committee sort of got it right because it's like, all right, like what teams can we put in their bracket that like won't maybe induce a blowout in round 2?
Yeah. Where is the semifinals played? Do you guys know?
I don't actually know.
I don't know how that works. I was kind of looking. I was like, where does it?
There's the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Peach
Yeah,
Bowl.
but that's
Yeah,
the
that's
quarters.
the quarterfinals.
Oh, you're talking about semifinals?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't actually know
I
where the
don't know.
semifinals are.
Let's see.
IT.
Oh, okay.
let you
So
go.
it'd be, one of them will be in Hard Rock in Miami, and the other one's AT&T Stadium.
And then the championships played
championships in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, yeah. Let's see.
Dude, this week's gonna be
Mercedes-Benz, baby.
Mercedes-Benz. God, it's beautiful. That's such a cool place. That atmosphere looked awesome.
Cool stadium.
Yeah, boys, I gotta get out of here. I have a job.
I'm surprised you've lasted this long.
Yeah, dude, we cranked out.
We are on a new bedtime schedule. She's down at like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Nice. And then she gets up what, middle of the night?
Bro, we've had back-to-back nights. She slept through the night.
Knock on wood, all of the wood.
Daddy's bad.
You gotta be, yeah.
Daddy's bad. We'll see.
You guys have such cool high-tech stuff. I saw that milk warmer at Main 24. That was freaking sweet.
Bro.
Dude, you guys are so high-tech.
The registry game was too strong.
Yeah.
Okay? We're grateful for good friends. Yeah. Sleeping through the night. Back-to-back night. I'll say this is how I felt today. I slept so much that I was tired. I was like, nobody hadn't done this in a couple months.
Crazy how that happens.
Yeah. For the first little while, Hannah was like, she let me sleep some, and like when I first kind of went back to work and things like that, and then I was like, Dad can't do that. Feel weird about that, so I took over bottle feeding. So by 2:30 and 5:30 or 6 were like my golden hours. Like, Dad does the bottle. It's the whole big deal. Now it's gone. So we were told by some friends you should just move her out and go put her in her own room and let her sleep through the night. We're like, let's fucking try it. And it worked.
You have to lose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try it. And so we did. And 9.5 hours later.
Nice.
Love you,
dude.
I
I actually thought I was dreaming about dreaming. Yeah.
So that's how hard you slept. You were dreaming about dreaming.
Yeah. Inception, bad boys.
Did you wake up in a panic and be like, I can't believe I slept this long?
I woke up. Oh, the thought process. I did wake up at like 5:30, no matter what, because I went to bed early. I was like, she's going down at 8 o'clock. Let's hop in there about 9:30, 10. And so I woke up and I was like, it's probably 2:30 in the morning. I look over, it's 5:30, and Hannah and I were like, do we get up?
What just happened?
We were just like, nah. So we both fell back asleep to like 6:30. And I was like, hell yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
The dad life. Yeah. The dad life is real.
Nice.
So then I text my boy Casey Harley and I text GT and I was like, boys, so we slept through the night. We're like, this is totally how it happens every night, right? And they're like, yeah, right.
Sure.
Sure.
Hold on to that while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
2 nights. And I was like, but dude, I'm good for the next 8 weeks.
Yes.
You give me those 2 nights of sleep, we're back. Ran 8 miles yesterday.
Did I see a new PR time? A mile?
That was a mile during my runs. Yeah.
Was
PR.
your fast mile?
That was my fast mile I ran with this, probably the new watch, I guess. Well, not the new watch, but on the new training program. But no, it's not my fastest mile ever. Daddy can scoot a little bit, So
No.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like recently here.
Yeah. Feeling good. We're shooting for sub 150. Yeah, that's what I want.
Nice.
Is
that for a marathon?
Half marathon. If I ran a sub 150 marathon.
No. I wasn't saying like you were running like for a specific marathon type.
Half marathon, Chattanooga, Erlanger, baby. Nice. We're coming back.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah. goals.
All right, well, go get some rest. Great to see you guys. I'm glad y'all waited for me. I'm glad I got to jump on here for a few minutes.
You look good in the new internet.
Hell yeah, bro.
Thank you. Yeah,
Crystal
we
clear
got the
picture, baby.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank goodness. Like I got to unplug T-Mobile and I got to get rid of it here pretty
Send that
soon.
bitch packing.
I know, but I can't do it. You know, the account holder has to do it, and Daddy ain't the account holder here. So
That's true. That's true. Okay.
Mama Bear is.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
Well,
boys.
appreciate you. Like and subscribe everywhere. We thank you. We love you. Thank you, Mike's Hole in the Wall. We'll see you there on Thursday. Chat it up. Beautiful hoodies. Maybe one day we'll get them in stock. All right. Peace and love.